Hello, my friends. Today, title of the horror story is The Clockmaker's Curse. In the small, forgotten town of Grim Hollow, there was an old clockmaker named Elias. His shop, Eternal Ticks, was tucked at the end of a cobblestone street and filled with clocks of every shape and size. Yet, despite his reputation for crafting the most exquisite timepieces, Elias was avoided by the townsfolk. Rumors swirled about strange noises coming from his shop late at night and customers who vanished after purchasing one of his clocks. One stormy evening, a young woman named Clara stumbled into the shop. Her car had broken down just outside town, and she needed a place to wait until morning. Elias greeted her with a warm, if unsettling, smile. "You've come to the right place," he said, his voice smooth yet cold. "Time is what I deal in." Clara, soaked from the rain, glanced around the shop. Hundreds of clocks ticked in unison, their faces illuminated by the flickering light of a single oil lamp. There was something oddly hypnotic about the sound, but it also made her skin crawl. "Do you repair clocks too?" she asked, trying to make small talk. "I repair more than clocks," Elias replied cryptically. "Sometimes, I repair time itself." Before Clara could ask what he meant, her attention was drawn to a large, ornate grandfather clock at the center of the room. Its wood was dark and polished, its face marked with strange, runic symbols instead of numbers. The pendulum swung slowly, almost as if defying gravity. "That's beautiful," she said, stepping closer. Elias' smile faltered. "That one is not for sale. It keeps time differently." Despite his warning, Clara felt an inexplicable pull toward the clock. She reached out to touch it, but as her fingers brushed the wood, the room plunged into darkness. The rhythmic ticking of the clocks grew louder, now erratic and disjointed. "Clara," Elias' voice boomed from the shadows, "you shouldn't have touched it." When the light returned, Clara found herself alone. The shop was no longer the cozy, cluttered space it had been. The walls were cracked and covered in cobwebs. The clocks were broken, their faces frozen in different times. She stumbled toward the door, but it wouldn't budge. Panic set in as she pounded on the wood. Behind her, the grandfather clock chimed, its deep, resonant sound vibrating through her chest. She turned to see the pendulum swinging faster, and with each swing, the room seemed to shift. She wasn't in the shop anymore. She was in her childhood bedroom, watching her mother tuck her into bed. But something was wrong. Her mother's face was blurry, her movements jerky, as if she were a poorly animated puppet. Then she was in high school, reliving the moment she'd failed her final exam. Her teacher's voice echoed, distorted and mocking. The scenes kept shifting. Happy memories turned sour. Fears she thought she'd forgotten brought back to life. Each time the grandfather clock chimed, the transitions grew more violent. It was as if time itself was unraveling around her. "Make it stop!" she screamed, clutching her head. Elias' voice echoed again, distant and distorted. "Time is not a toy, Clara. It's a curse, and now it's yours." Suddenly, she was back in the shop, but it was different. The clocks were pristine, ticking harmoniously. Elias stood before her, but he looked younger, his face free of wrinkles and his eyes sharp. "You touched what you shouldn't have," he said. "Now, you're the keeper of the clock." "What does that mean?" she asked, her voice trembling. Elias stepped aside, revealing the grandfather clock. Its runic face was gone, replaced by her reflection. She was inside the clock, pounding on the glass, her screams silent. The version of her outside the clock, the new keeper, smiled. "It means you'll keep time until someone else makes the same mistake," Elias said before vanishing. Years passed. The shop remained in Grim Hollow, its door always open, its new owner waiting. And on stormy nights, the grandfather clock's pendulum would swing, whispering Clara's name to anyone foolish enough to enter. Like and subscribe for more stories. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.